Only time will tell what new questions await us in this theater of the damned.
Zombies in Call of Duty has seen many iterations, several different eras that are unique to itself, whether it's good, bad, or mediocre. But there's two main eras of zombies that we can compare. The classic side with Prime Treyarch, and the modern side with games like Cold War, Vanguard, and Modern Warfare 3. Let's get the obvious out of the way. Yes, I do think modern zombies sucks. A lot, actually. And I do think classic zombies will never be topped. What we should be asking is, what's the big difference? Are we just finding things to be upset about? Are our expectations too high? Vanguard and Modern Warfare 3 have the excuse to be written off because they didn't have much time to be made, which of course would lead to poor results. But whether it's excusable or not, it represents zombies and has damaged the core even further. We've gotten to the point where fans are hoping for more round-based zombies content, but that's the bare minimum, isn't it? That should be the easy part. The hard part is building off the established formula. What did they do with Vanguard? Basically, it felt like an alternate zombies mode, completely separate from what we know, except for when they released the remaster of Shinonuma with the added extension. It was round based and it wasn't half bad, but it came so late. Vanguard had already buried most of the community by that point, and I think most fans just didn't have the right energy going into it. But if they had done this from the start, I don't think it would be perfect, but it might be a good substitution until we got our official Treyarch zombies. From what we had in the past, we had off years from the main zombies experience that we all look forward to, mostly having to wait 2 to 3 years just to see what's next. That was always a huge problem, but with including the mode in almost every game between releases, I'd be perfectly fine with the formula of taking already established zombie maps and just extending them, adding little bits of content to something we are already familiar with. It'd be something to get us by. But Vanguard fell flat, the entire game felt generic, and this would soon be a problem that plagues Modern Warfare 3 as well. One thing I notice about both games is how crappy everything looks. There's ugly tints thrown on or something that makes them look terrible. A new map back in the day typically meant a new aesthetic. One map you're playing in the freezing cold with the legend George Romero, and the next you're in a jungle with ancient structures and lots of nature. They all popped. They were vibrant and not so dull. They also weren't overcrowded with unnecessary UI. No minimap, no ridiculous kill chains in the middle of my screen, no name tags telling me that what I'm shooting at is indeed a zombie, no RPG health bars, no character portraits showing up every time some actual character in the storyline has something to say, as if subtitles weren't enough already. It's very invasive, and it doesn't let you get immersed into the appeal of zombies. It all becomes about information rather than taking in the map and gaining your own awareness. Whether they add the options to turn off certain elements or not, what's the purpose to begin with? Are we catering to a certain audience? I think we all know what happens when you try catering to another audience. You risk catering to no one. That's where it becomes generic and what people would call soulless. If you were to repeat this formula in the next games to come, then it starts to become really hard to tell what game was which. Modern Warfare 3 is no exception, and I think it's a disservice to even label this as Modern Warfare Zombies when it's clearly just DMZ with zombies in it. I don't mean to ruin anyone's experience if they are having fun with this, or even with DMZ from Modern Warfare 2. That's okay. But I never understood what's so fun about it. There's hardly any real motives. There's no real economy, and many things you pick up are useless. We're on a Warzone map that also just looks dull. This isn't zombies. It's something else with just a few zombie elements thrown in. The storyline I just throw out the window because it's turning into a Marvel universe with all these random crossovers that don't need to be happening. I'm sick of even just displaying this footage on the screen for you all. Let's take a breather and go into old school zombies for a minute as a comparison example. Something a little more pleasant for your eyes and ears.
For time and the world do not stand still. Change is the law of life. And those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future.
I believe 5 is a great example to compare to. It's not exactly the best of the best, as that would usually go to maps like Origins, Mob of the Dead, Der Eisendrache, and of course others. It was also a bonus map, something for you to enjoy behind the Kino der Toten experience at the launch of Black Ops 1 back in 2010. For a bonus map reusing lots of campaign assets, it was well executed. We have an established cast of characters that are new to the zombies universe, but ones most of us will likely be familiar with in the real world. They are quite charming.
To retaliate must be and has to be massive to deter all forms of aggression.
It's an example of them not needing to rely on characters such as our original crew to make a lovable cast. I always wanted to play as JFK himself.
I am all that stands between the dead and the White House.
Sometimes my influence to pick one map from another could be the cast itself. What do we get in the newer titles? Operators. It's always operators. If you were to start over from the beginning, remaking all the Call of Duty zombie games to have operators you choose, just like we do nowadays, what happens? You never get the cast of characters such as Ultimus, the mobsters, and our political figures in 5. But the cast perspective aside, 5 is a visually appealing map. You have strong colors and details placed in each area, with 3 different levels connected by elevators. If you were playing through the campaign previously and noticed that one cool section where you're in the underground part of the Pentagon and thought, wow, this would be cool to explore. Well, at the end of your campaign journey, you realize you do actually get to explore it. We have to remember what I said before. A lot of assets are already being reused. Why can't we at least do that in the newer games so that there is extra time to develop new things such as Easter eggs, an established cast of characters with actual personality, and maybe the possibility of adding nice details into the map to make it unique from others. 5 was able to do this through its unique Winter's Howl weapon and also the Pentagon theme, who was a lot of people's worst nightmare because he'd yoink your gun, making you have to chase him with whatever other weapon you had going through teleporters. This is when it becomes more unfair to compare it to Cold War, because at least that New Age Zombies game had some unique maps and weapons. Cold War is the best example we got of modern zombies, as it's when they started switching up a lot of the main formula. This was a fully developed zombies mode by Treyarch and was supposed to get back on track after Black Ops 4 tampered with some of the core foundations. While it has our favorite perks back and has a main storyline, it's plagued by many problems shared within Vanguard and Modern Warfare 3. Even though we have a storyline, it's led by our favorite characters, the operators. It has the same UI problems, with the screen being overloaded with useless information, making it hard to focus on the environment and your surroundings. It's ruining much of our immersive experience we could be getting from the beautiful maps we are in. I thought the vastly extended Nocturne Toten map in the wintertime was a very aesthetically pleasing map, but that all gets ruined when our screen is constantly occupied with random clutter. It did do well with cutscenes preparing us for the map. I thought the old footage of Russian soldiers exploring this location and uncovering the secrets was really well done. It made me interested in what's going on here while taking an unsettling approach with its build-up to reveal the zombies that infest the area. But quickly the Cold War zombies experience got ruined for me that I no longer was curious enough to continue investing my time into the storyline and replaying these maps countless times. It became a place to grind weapon camos and level up. It felt weird having multiplayer kill streaks, multiplayer characters, and additions such as self-revives that it made whatever little bits the map had going for it instantly not be worth it. It became boring, and the generic traits overwhelmed the parts that were genuinely unique. You may be okay with those sacrifices, but for me, it just made me stop caring about the mode. It also doesn't help that the storyline gets ripped apart with forcing elements, such as campaign characters, into a universe that should stay separate. I know it's cool thinking of the crossovers, but once you do it, it starts to not be its own universe. That's what Cold War and Beyond has been for me. It now truly feels like another mode rather than a whole other game. Just an extra addition that I would never sink days worth of my time into. To me, it's quite obvious that modern day zombies just isn't it. While some were okay with Cold War, I was not. And I don't think it's very comparable to the previous games. I don't mean to discredit the good things the modern games have done, or to demotivate future work into the zombies mode, but to instead point out what my tastes are as a zombies player since day one, and what I think made it last much longer than what developers originally thought it would. With enough care to detail and not putting up with sacrifices to the mode, it can shine once again. Maybe not in the same fashion as before, but in a new era that can at least be remembered in the years to come. The remnants of the zombie community, I still see most of the popularity falling onto older games. Much older games. Is that by luck or timing? I don't think so. I think New Zombies is so bad that people still find great fun in the older ones and would rather consume older content than what we have now. Despite it being much older than our newer iterations, it still proves it is infinitely more replayable.